Good evening. I'm Jess Perkins with Casey Wong. Top story, 10,000 acres of wooded residential land were scorched in an instant when a laser cannon aboard the Strategic Defense Peace Platform misfired today during routine startup tests. I have always wanted to live on that side of the island.
What's up, guys? Boy Benny. There are a lot of reasons to hate Joe Biden. It's almost too many to count, but the indifference to the suffering of regular Americans is certainly one of them. This is why Joe Biden, in his trip to the border, Joe Biden didn't actually go to the border. Joe Biden went to a little safe house somewhat kind of near the border yesterday. The Border Patrol tweeting at Joe Biden, "Attention, President Biden, keep our names out your mouth," yesterday. And of course, for good reason. Joe Biden went to the border and didn't talk about any of the horrors that he has caused to the American people through his open borders policies, the evils of which, again, are too numerous to list. But Lake and Riley getting slaughtered and murdered is certainly one of those evils, along with tons of other horrible problems that are caused by an open border. And what did Joe Biden talk about? Climate change.
If you fly over these areas that are burned. The idea there's no such thing as climate change. I love that, man. I love some of my Neanderthal friends who still think there's no climate change. Well, my administration is going to keep building on the progress we've made fighting climate crisis, and we're going to help folks rebuild themselves in the wake of these disasters. And we rebuild to the standards that are the up-to-date standards and building codes and the rest.
So Joe Biden continues to talk about these wildfires that are just popping up spontaneously all over the place, right? He's talking about a new wildfire that's just happens to be hitting Texas and causing great damage to beef production in Texas. Interesting that. Now, Joe Biden said something, however, during this little speech that piqued the interest of a great many people online. It wasn't just the Border Patrol that was paying attention. It was, well, a lot of different accounts saying, whoa, what the hell did Joe Biden just say when it comes to these wildfires? Did Joe Biden just confirm the use of directed energy weapons to start the Texas wildfires? What is this all about? Okay, we've looked into this. Okay, we've covered this. And while we remain skeptical, it's worth noting that what the hell is Joe Biden saying here? First off, have a listen.
If you fly over these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because it had the right roof on it. And anyway, since I took office, FEMA's provided Texas alone.
Anyway, Joe Biden has this tick where, like, whenever he says something he's not supposed to, he goes, anyway. My father actually does the exact same thing. So wait, what does this mean? If you have the right roof on your house, then you're going to be fine. This is what people say. Weapons, because of like videos like this, people noticed in the Maui fires that blue objects and blue items didn't get burned, right? And then, this TikTok sort of went viral where you could see that the blue color doesn't react with the beams of the laser, right? It's the beams of the laser at a specific wavelength. All color is wavelength, and the blue wavelength the blue wavelength absorbs instead of reacts. So from a scientific perspective, that's what TikToks like this are talking about. And then they are going through and noting that like houses that were blue and cars that were blue and bins and umbrellas that were blue didn't get burned in Maui. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't gone to Maui. We haven't investigated this ourselves. But there are some very curious things online that sort of point to great strangeness when it comes to what was and wasn't burned in Maui and how unbelievably hot it got. I mean, entire cars like melting into the streets. Doesn't make any sense, actually. I mean, we've gone to first-person perspectives. We've done our best to, look into this, and we've covered it before. But Joe Biden, yesterday, saying, you fly over, everything's burned, and this house has the right roof on it, so it wasn't burned. Dude, what are you talking about? What kind of a person says something like that about a wildfire? Did you just admit that directed energy weapons don't affect your home if the roof is painted blue? Okay. You know what? It's worth going back and revisiting the investigation into the Maui wildfires. and our coverage of this topic when many people were talking about this, late last year, when those wildfires, of course, ripped through only the poor parts of Maui and, forced tens of thousands of people to relocate, giving way to obviously like some really horrible human catastrophes. A reminder that the people who disobeyed the government during the Maui wildfires were the ones who survived. There's entire articles about it. The government said, stay back, stay in town. And the people who did perished. The people who ignored the government, they survived. Probably something good to keep in mind here. Did Joe Biden just admit it? Here we go. The interest in directed energy weapons spiked after the curious footage of the fires in Lahaina, as people started to notice that these fires, only affected the poor neighborhoods and had no effect on the rich multimillionaire mansions that crisscrossed the ocean side. No, it was only the small and impoverished communities that got burnt to a crisp. Quite an interesting fire there, you might say. And I would say, yeah. People deserve answers for what the hell is going on. Ultimately, people deserve the answers, and we are here to give them the answers. The truth about directed energy weapons is that they're real. Directed energy weapons are a real thing. It's something that the DoD is developing in many different forms, whether it be satellite or shipborne or something that you carry with you. Directed energy weapons is something that is openly being used in trials right now, according to CNET. The U.S. commander in the Indo-Pacific is interested in more widely experimenting with deploying directed energy weapons designed to zap electronics and incinerate incoming threats. The Navy Admiral, who leads the China-focused Indo-Pacific Command, on August 28th said he's certainly looking into asymmetric advantages and said he should bring it. I'm very encouraged by the high-energy laser capacities that are being experimented with and utilized. So, to say that these don't exist is a lie. These are real. Here's Lockheed Martin. This is one of the largest defense contractors in America, with a very glossy presentation about how exciting directed energy weapons are, harnessing the power of lasers for the 21st century. They have all these little videos and everything up on their YouTube talking about how excited they are. And then these videos actually, you can click on them. These videos actually show tests where they successfully used, there you go, you can see it there on your screen, successfully used lasers to effectively blow up airplanes out of the sky. These are ground-based lasers. This stuff exists. Okay, are we done? Okay, we good? Like these things do exist. They're actively being tested. And so these are real. Now, did these weapons cause the Maui fires? People are saying that the Space Force is located on Maui. There is a massive Space Force base on Maui. Did something go horribly wrong? What happened? You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to just simply read the corporate press and see that the government services that were in charge of Lahaina and Maui, they closed down the roads, trapping people inside of the town. They pushed people towards the center of the town, which was effectively an oven. They shut down the water supply that could have helped prevent the blazes from spreading. And, of course, they didn't sound the sirens to warn people of the dangers. Very curious. They also passed pieces of legislation right before the emergency that allowed them to take everyone's homes. So, yeah, people have a right to be very, very suspicious about who's going to profit and benefit from these fires. In fact, if they headed over to some of the local residents' YouTube accounts, they'd find some other curiosities. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man named Hawaiian Real Estate, HawaiianRealEstate.org on YouTube. This dude has an account. He is posted. He lives in Maui. He's posted a lot. He is not crazy. He posts stuff about like beach walks and real estate deals. Okay. But he's gone viral in the last couple of days by posting some very interesting sights and sounds from inside of the burned down village of Lahaina. Ladies and gentlemen, the first of those videos you see Maui, evidence of a directed energy weapon. Now, what he does here is he walks around a vehicle that has been burnt to a crisp, asking, how the hell did this thing get burnt to a crisp?
How did that cone not completely disappear? Because if you look at this vehicle, and I want you to notice the burn, the amount of grass, as you can see, that burned and the char marks. This car is basically completely surrounded by gravel, and you can see a small little flames right here when this grass burned. Yet when you turn and look right in this direction, besides seeing Dylan, my technical cameraman, you can see this car. And for all you scientists out there that have been sending me images and you're asking me if they're real, I'm here to tell you, in Jesus' name, what we're showing you is real, live on YouTube. So if you enjoy content like this, we ask you to please immediately like this, share this, and subscribe to the channel. Why? Because you are our only hope of getting this out to the world through the YouTube algorithm. This is a tire that is gone. These are the braids of steel inside the tire. Look at this particular rim. Is it safe to say these are aluminum?
Look at the windshield. What's that?
Are these aluminum?
Yeah, that's cast aluminum wheels.
Cast aluminum wheel, you can see it melted.
And the windshield on the inside?
Look at the windshield. That is a windshield right there that is completely melted. We have some jumper cables in the back of the vehicle. We have some cast aluminum here that's pulverized.
It's just dust.
How is that possible for a grass fire that did not come from this direction? Because you can see there's nothing that's been burned over here. What could cause that type of destruction when you have a grass fire on this side that obviously didn't connect? But even if it was a grass fire,
and it's still only half burned. I mean,
yeah, you can see there's even some grass over here that's still standing. It's not even been burned. So even about down below, directly below this, you can see some wood fence posts that were burned, but you can see all that grass is still good. So how do you get this car this hot? In the comments section, I need to hear from you guys.
So what these guys are doing is they're walking around, they're finding these burned down vehicles in these open fields and saying, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. How do these vehicles, which are made out of aluminum and these various metals that have very, very high melting points, how do these vehicles light on fire? And they find multiples of them.
But then you have these two vehicles sitting in here that have melted.
oh yeah, it's
Aluminum. So Donovan, if you want to just take us through this car real quick and show us, I know you know a few things about cars, you can point out some things that require a very high temperature. By the way, we just talked to the neighbor who was talking to an investigator in Lahaina Town yesterday, and he said the investigator told him the temperatures reached in excess of 3,000 degrees. So tell us what you got, Donovan.
Well, we have about 300 degrees for aluminum, and this
300?
1300.
1300, okay, thank you.
1300, well 1220, but if you round it up, because it was not only melted, it was liquefied to the point where it
ran
became
down the side of the hill.
a river of aluminum going down the dirt hill.
So this is the aluminum rim, obviously. There's the tire, what's left of it, the steel threads or steel belts.
And maybe combination gas tank if the gas tank's aluminum.
Okay, okay. So you have liquefied aluminum running down the side of a grass fire.
The caliper melted, unless they stole it, but it looks like the bolts are still there. So that, and then you get the steel belts of the tire, which is just a bunch of wire mesh laying there, and you have the windows that were melted, the back window. If you look at the big old, like almost like
the glass is just melted.
Yeah, it was
dripping.
This is almost what you would see if you put a car in an incinerator.
But this is not surrounded by a bunch of structure fires or anything.
Yeah, there's no fuel.
So these guys are effectively saying, how do these cars heat up so much? How is it possible for these cars to get so hot in this area that doesn't have any fires around it? They're not surrounded by structures. What is heating up these vehicles is what these guys are asking.
Interesting.
But you notice that house is untouched there.
Yeah, let's just scan the houses next door so you can see for yourself that all these homes are perfectly fine. So there's no fuel to create the fire that's powerful enough. It's like if you burned your campfire next to your car, and then this happened to your car next,
Well, everybody's thrown beer bottles or bottles in their fire, in their campfire.
right?
And I mean, look at the windshield. It's almost gone. In the back windows.
So does everyone just need to go take a little Wikipedia tour on the melting points of
Yeah.
things and just do some research?
Yeah, it's amazing
Is
what.
that a good idea? So, because I didn't know much about melting points before all this started, and I'm a skeptic when it comes to all things outlandish. But to me, this is what now seems outlandish to me.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have done our research. Here you go. The melting point of aluminum is 1220. I mean, it's really hot. It's a lot hotter than my oven gets. That's really, really hot. I guess the question is, how do these cars melt? And I mean, again, it's kind of like you're in an incinerator. The only thing that can come to mind for me is maybe these vehicles are being ignited. The gasoline inside of them has blown up. And so the cars literally incinerate because the gasoline blows up inside of them. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I encourage you to go watch the entire videos. The videos are 40 minutes long, 11 minutes long on the guy's channel, and see for yourself. Again, the dude just like films whales and surfing and hikes in Maui. That's what he does with his life. Looks like a hippie. Seems like a hippie. Has a rainbow in his bio here. So what do you want from me? That's what people are saying? That, like, directed energy weapons are real? Melting points are real? How are these cars melting in the middle of the field? Decent question to ask. Why are all the structures around the cars intact? People are still living there, and then the cars are melted right next to them. It has to be 1,200 degrees at least to get that aluminum to melt. So wouldn't the house be gone too? We're just asking questions. We're looking for answers. We gonna get them? We'll see. Keep asking questions, though. Skepticism can never be wrong. It is, in fact, our obligation to ask questions. It is our right to ask questions. We must continue to ask questions. Freedom of the press is one of our most treasured rights in this country. It'd be nice to use that right a little more. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. Dead Communism. See ya.